Joe, congratulations for Christmas, bloody Christmas.
Thank you, man.
I know you beat the competition for the Santa Claus for this season.
Oh yeah. What's the other one? Is Violent Night?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, a buddy of mine made that. It's pretty. I saw it. It's pretty good. It's thankfully it's on the opposite ends of the spectrum of mine, so it's nice to have two, original genre Santa movies hitting screens.
I know, absolutely. I'm going to check that one out pretty soon myself. But where did you get the original idea to make Christmas, bloody Christmas?
I was almost forced to come up with it. It sounds I guess a little more unnatural than it is, but I was asked to pitch on a Silent Night Deadly Night remake, and I really love the iconography of that movie, not so much the story. So I always wanted to remake it. So when I was trying to plot, the best way to do that, I just came up with something so out of left field. And Terminator is one of my favorite movies. And I figured, why the fuck not just combine them? I mean, the Silent Night sequels, like part 4 and 5, have a little bit of a robot tech in them, but I just wanted to go full bore. And then unfortunately, they turned it down. Well, fortunately, they turned it down. Because it was too unlike the original. The fans were gonna be mad, and it was like, motherfucker, I am the fan base, and I'm telling you, nobody cares what the storylines. But whatever. So, they turned it down, and a couple of my friends, were talking about it, and the idea was honestly so unlike the original. I owned it. They didn't pay me to write the pitch, so I just wrote it as an original script, and I'm so glad it's not a Sound Like Deadly remake, and it's its own movie.
What is it about Santa Claus is that makes it as a perfect horror icon for the season?
Well, I think automatically the sensationalism of Santa as a kid being a killer, like that is the whole pinpoint of the Sound That Deadly Night remake. As a kid see Santa kill someone and how traumatic that is. But I think just like the sensation, like Santa already has a sensationalist look, and then you add something like a robot, underneath him or something like that, and that adds to it. And I think just the whole idea of growing up seeing this as somebody like who is supposed to be like an icon for children, and brings joy to everybody, is just fucking ripping people apart. And Santa's always a big guy. He's always huge. He's got a fucking huge beard. He's like 350 pounds. So he looks intimidating no matter what. So it's easy to throw an axe in his hand and some, you know what I mean? So I mean, it's just the sensationalism, how he looks and how he would look on camera, and the backdrop of Santa against snow. And there's just, like I said, iconography is what exists most to people with Sound Like That in their hearts. So that all comes back to kind of the iconography of Christmas in general.
Now, this is not your first time go around in a horror genre. Why do you love this genre so much, and how did you want to do this film differently?
I have always made horror movies, and I think I will continue to always make horror movies. That's what I grew up loving, and again, it comes back to the sensationalism of it. It's just not real life, and I just love being scared. I love creating new things. I love creating new scenarios. I just love the whole aesthetic of horror movies. It's in my blood. I mean, I love all movies, but horror movies are more fun to make. And I don't know if I have the capacity to make a divorce drama or something like that. I'd rather make movies that are going to, make people talk, or try to explain. Like, that was my favorite thing, is always trying to explain to my friends, like on the schoolyard, scenes in movies, like, you're never gonna fucking believe. And then like me, playing a game of telephone, it almost hyperbolizes it and makes it your own lore. Like, I just like that. I like getting people talking. I like getting people excited. I like getting people shocked. I like getting people scream. Like, I want a fucking reaction out of you when you're watching a movie. And I love horror movies. I love the reaction it gave me, and I want to extend those reactions to the audience, almost like a fucking carnival. Like, I'm running a goddamn carnival show, buy a ticket and you're getting a night of thrills and screams and jolts and laughs.
Well, you certainly did it with this one. One of the things I always like to ask horror directors is, the debate between like CGI and practical effects. Which direction do you tend to go for? Because is this like a combination, or do you went more practical?
Oh, this is all practical. The only computer generated, not even computer generated shots, the only shots that we had any sort of post visual effects on were wire removal shots for the robots and stuff like that. I'm practical all the way through. I've never had an element of CG in any of my movies besides removal. I just feel like, especially at a lower, like, look, if a $200 million movie can't make a convincing visual effect, how the fuck am I going to do it, you know? And for me, like in the 70s and 80s, seeing that stuff on camera and on screen, it looked so much more real. And I feel like if you can see something through the eyepiece of the camera and the actors can react to it, they're going to do a better job. I'm going to do a better job photographing it. I'm going to do a better job directing it. And the other thing is, if I do see it through the eyepiece, I am able to direct it, because if it's fucked up, I can say, well, this doesn't look right. Let's move the camera over here. Ooh, you know what? It might look better if we knock that light down. Why don't you act this way? So you can actually direct it. Whereas if it's CG, it's like, well, if I can hope it's going to look good, and then you send it off to, you know, whoever your effects house is, and then you see a version of it in 3 months, and it's like, that looks like shit, and then there's nothing you can do. I don't know anything about effect, like I don't know how to direct, like, you know what I mean? So it's just it's so much better to direct it on set. And I don't write things where it's like a Marvel movie where it's like I need to rely on CG. You know, the fucking moon's not crashing into the earth. Like, why aren't we going to build a fucking robot? Why aren't we going to rig snow machines to every place of our location instead of digitally adding it? You know, digital like that snow stuff was so easy to, not easy to do, but so cheap to do. A pain in the fucking ass, but it's cheap. And then, you know, I see anything with digital snow and it's like, oh my God, that looks like an Instagram filter that somebody put on a TikTok video of like fucking white shit falling in from the other. So I don't know. I'm just, and it makes people more excited. You're sitting there in the middle of a street and there's a fucking robot right there. There's snow falling on you. There's a fire blazing 6 feet away. And everybody's like excited because we're, you know, on a playground of fucking movie making. I don't know. It just gets me excited talking about all that stuff. So.
No, I love it. I'm a, you know, a horror aficionado myself, and I mean, I have to ask, how long did it take you guys to build a robot, and how much of it's a robot and how much of it is like a person in a costume? Is it completely
Well,
robot?
yeah, the robot doesn't make the appearance until like 10 minutes before the end,
Yeah.
you know, for the last scene. The robot probably took about 3 or 4 months to build, R&D and all that stuff. And then the end is all robot stuff, but we had multiple rigs for close-ups and stuff like that. But one of the main rigs where it's walking around is actually like it's a fake robot from like maybe the quadriceps up, and it slips over an actor who's, you know, much shorter, so that they can walk around. And basically what they do is it rigs into their head and they're able to move the head around, and then there's other people remote controlling everything, so it is like an actor moving, but then all of the elements above are all remote controlled. So it's like a mix of puppeteer and animatronics. And then there's other points where it's like moving around and it's kind of just like if we're putting explosives on it, it's rigged down on a track. So like it was, you know, there's like 5 or 6 different ways we shot it, but that head is always robot, pure robot.
Most excellent. Well, Joe, I love your practical effects. I love how you make these movies. Keep on doing them. I mean, this is terrific.
Thank you, man.
Hey, thank you. Appreciate this conversation. Hopefully we get to do this again.
Oh yeah.
Thank you.